Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's nice and early on a Tuesday morning. My friend Blake and I, say hello Blake.
Howdy.
We are going on an epic adventure. We're about to leave Beaumont, Texas to go to Mena, Arkansas to the CMA, the Christian Motorcyclist Association Pastors Retreat. So we only have about 350 miles to ride today, but the temperature is really nice. It's March, but it's in the high 50s. I think it's going to warm up as the day progresses. It did rain some last night, so the roads are nice and wet, but I know we're going to have some great riding up there in the Ozark Mountains. Of course, we'll hear some great preaching and music at the Pastors Retreat. Blake and I have both been before, and we're very excited about going back today. And I'll just take you along for our little journey. Well, we're about 100 miles into the journey. I rode about an hour in the dark. Did hit some fog I didn't anticipate. We're here at Pineland, Texas, here at the little local Brookshire Brothers store. Got some gas, used the restroom, and we'll run another 100 miles or so before we stop again. I really don't like to ride more than 100 miles at a time, just because I feel better at the end of the day on a long ride. So the sun is up. We did ride that first hour in the dark, so nice to be able to see, and we'll continue to make our way. I think another 250 miles before we make it to Mena, Arkansas. Well, we made it to stop number 2. It got a little darker and a little colder on the way. It's a little bit lighter now. Maybe it'll warm up a little bit. We are at our second 100-mile stop. Let's see how Blake's holding up. Is your behind holding up okay? What? So is your behind holding up okay?
Yeah, doing all right.
So far so good? Yeah, we got another 150 miles or so to go, and we'll be up at the CMA campground there in Arkansas. So we're having a great time. Yeah, I'm glad it's warming up a little bit. Stop number 3. We've ridden a little over 300 miles. I think we're in DeQuincy. DeQueen. Somewhere in Arkansas. I thought the weather was going to get better as we went. It actually got worse. What, yeah. 50 miles of rain?
Yeah.
It was light rain though, but you know, if you're gonna ride, you're gonna get wet. So we're gonna grab some lunch. What are we, maybe 30 miles from the CMA headquarters?
Yeah, about 35, yeah.
Yeah, so what'll be, not quite 6 hours in the saddle? Almost 6 hours in the saddle. Yeah. But we're having a great time.
Having a good time.
Absolutely. Well, we left Beaumont, Texas at about 6 o'clock in the morning. It's about 20 minutes till 2, and we have arrived at the Iron Mountain Christian Motorcyclist Association headquarters for the Pastors Retreat. Have you enjoyed the ride?
Man, it was a great ride.
Now it's sun shining. After 50 miles of rain, we have blue sky and sunshine. So we're going to have a great time the next couple of 3 days. Okay, this is our first full day for the CMA Pastors Retreat. This is the main building where we're having all of our activities. One thing I think is really cool are the banners hanging from the ceiling. Whenever a new CMA chapter opens, they make 2 banners. One for the chapter, and one goes on the ceiling here in the national, or I guess international headquarters. And so CMA has chapters all over the world, and they're represented by all the many banners you see here on the ceiling. Real fascinating. Most people come here, they look for the banner for their local chapter. Oh, and they're hanging on different banners on both sides, so pretty fascinating. In the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
I know that line that just says, even when I don't see it. Let's sing it now. Even when I don't see it, your word.
We're about to make our way up the Olamina Scenic Drive. It goes from Mena, Arkansas over into Oklahoma. At the top of the mountain up here is the Queen Wilhelmina State and Park. Now, I just assumed that the Queen Wilhelmina State Park was named after one of the indigenous people of North America, but that's not actually correct. Queen Wilhelmina was the Queen of the Netherlands for almost 58 years. I think she was queen during World War I, World War II. So that's where Queen Wilhelmina, the Queen Wilhelmina Lodge, got its name. And I'm assuming the town of Mina, probably it comes from the name Queen Wilhelmina. There's the Olamina Scenic Drive sign, 13 miles to the state park. So at the CMA Pastors Retreat, they always give us some free time in the afternoon. Have a little free time today, a little free time tomorrow afternoon to get in some riding. This morning it was cold, down in the 40s, a little wet. Right now it is 73 degrees. It is absolutely beautiful weather. I had to shed my jacket and my leather chaps. So we've got a Triumph, I think that's a Triumph, adventure bike leading the way. We have Blake on his Suzuki. I'm on my Indian, being chased by a wild hog behind me. A Harley rider is behind me. And so Blake and I live down on the Texas Gulf Coast. I live outside of Beaumont, and Blake lives in the Port Acres area of Port Arthur, Texas. So we don't have anything like this down on the coast. It is very flat. Most of the roads are straight. So, you know, we love to ride the curvy roads. The curvier, the better. The mountains, the hills. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this Olamina Scenic Drive has some beautiful overlooks there. To the right of me is a beautiful view. Several places you can pull over and, you know, take photos with your family. You know, I don't know what it would be like to live in Arkansas and be able to ride these mountains every day. That would be amazing. My wife and I love Arkansas, but all of our family lives in Texas, so I'm sure when it's time to retire, we'll retire in Texas. But my wife and I, we both lived in Texas our whole life, so, and we love Texas too. But if I was going to live somewhere other than Texas, Arkansas would be high on my list, especially up here in the Ozark Mountains. This past summer I had an opportunity, or the family did, to go on vacation to Colorado. And myself and Mark Miller, we rode our motorcycles from southeast Texas all the way to Denver, Colorado. And of course rode up to the top of Pikes Peak. Had a fantastic time. Yeah, the state of Arkansas is a beautiful, beautiful state. Probably good I'm not leading. I'd probably ride faster than I would need to on these curvy roads. There's another scenic view to the right. Probably turning my head back and forth may affect what you're seeing there, but the stabilization is so good in those GoPro cameras. Sometimes I think it's hard to tell how much lean angle and how steep the grade of the hills are. I rode up to the top of the state park yesterday afternoon by myself, and I recorded it on the way down, but I had technical difficulties, so I'm shooting a new video today. Another scenic view to the right. There's a place where you could pull over, take photographs. I wonder what it would be like to ride this on a sport bike. Of course, I've never even test driven a sport bike, so I don't have any idea what that would be like. I know it's fun on this big heavy 900-pound touring bike, so you would think it'd be that much more fun on a sport bike where you could really rip through these curves. And look at this, curve after curve after curve. This is just awesome. Yeah, I only crossed the double yellow lines once yesterday. I was coming down one of these hills pretty hard. Of course, there were no cars coming. I think if a car had been coming, I could have just really slammed on the brakes and stayed in my lane. But again, that's probably a reason I shouldn't be leading. Actually, I thought it'd be cool to see other bikes in the video. If I was leading, everybody would be behind me, of course, and you wouldn't see any other bikes. I seem to have misplaced my sunshades. Last time I remember having them was yesterday afternoon when I was at the Queen Wilhelmina State Park. I set my camera up on the front of my helmet and I took my shades off. I have a bad habit of laying my sunshades on the passenger seat and then forgetting to grab them. So 2 or 3 times a year I have to buy new sunshades, but I usually buy the cheapest ones I can find for that very reason. Another beautiful view to the right. Actually, my only time to ride in Oklahoma is on this road. Some years when I come up here, I ride just far enough to cross the state line. We're passing another biker. There's another scenic view to the left. I rode almost 400 miles yesterday. More than about 360 miles up here. And then riding back and forth to the CMA Iron Mountain Retreat Center, and then I rode up here to the top of the Queen Wilhelmina State Park yesterday. Another beautiful view to the right. Yeah, my whole family, we all love the mountains. My wife, the kids, and we usually do some, or have done some pretty strenuous mountain hiking, and the kids, for the most part, like it. I think they like being out in nature. Usually one of them will have a meltdown before we get back to the car where I can't walk another step. They didn't do that this past year though in Colorado. Another scenic overlook where you can pull over. I got a feeling our friend up there on the adventure bike could run off and leave us if he wanted to. I've thought about buying an adventure bike for a second bike. Sometimes I see a dirt road and I think, man, that would be fun. There's a beautiful view to the left. There's a body of water down there. You can literally see for miles. One year I was up here, and of course you cannot come to Mena, Arkansas without riding this road. So I rode up here pretty much the whole ride in the clouds. Matter of fact, when we rode to the top of Pikes Peak in Colorado, the last section, the most treacherous part, was in and out of the clouds. Oh, it's a beautiful view. Yeah, I feel like I rode this much faster yesterday, but I didn't have anyone in front of me and I wasn't worried about leaving anyone behind, so I mean, I wasn't ripping it really hard because I don't have that much experience riding mountain roads except on, you know, trips like this. So I've ridden in the Ozark Mountains here in Arkansas. I've ridden in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. Next thing on my bucket list as far as mountains go is I want to ride the Smoky Mountains. One of these days I want to do the Tail of the Dragon. I can see the road going on up the mountain up there. Oh man, if I lived in Arkansas, like a sleeping bag on the ground. If I lived in Arkansas on my days off, this is what I would be doing. And when I retire, which will be several years from now, I hope to come to Arkansas multiple times a year. I mean, we did a leisurely drive up here yesterday. We left at 6 o'clock in the morning. Before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we were here even stopping and taking our time for lunch. So, you know, more than half a day to ride up here. But if you were going to stay up here 2 or 3 days, 20 years ago or a little bit more, I came up here with some friends and we spent a whole week up here. We camped up at Eureka Springs and rode the mountain roads all week long, and then of course came back home. Like a little watchtower up there on the mountain, I guess to watch for fires maybe. Probably more of a technical name for that tower. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. Yeah, these curves are really nice. All you folks that live where there are mountains and canyons, don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. You know, I live less than an hour from the Gulf Coast. A lot of people love the beach, probably think, you know, don't take the beach for granted. I can be at the beach in less than an hour. But my wife and I, we actually prefer the mountains over the beach. I guess that's human nature. If you lived in the mountains, you probably want to go to the beach. You live close to the beach, live close to the coast, you want to go to the mountain. We should be getting pretty close to the Queen Wilhelmina State Park. There's a lodge up here you can stay. I think I read right now the restaurant's being renovated. It's going to be closed a week or so. But they have a restaurant and a lodge and hiking trails and kind of things you'd imagine at a state park. They have a little kiddie train. There's another beautiful scenic view to the left. Yeah, I shot that video coming down off the mountain yesterday, and I went to watch it last night. It was all in super fast motion. I thought, I can't use that video unless I tack it on the end of this video. There's a sign, Queen Wilhelmina State Park. I think I see the lodge off at a distance there. We'll be turning left off the road if our leader takes us to the lodge. Or this absolutely gorgeous scenery. My wife says I say scenery with a terrible Texas accent, but I've lived in Texas all my life, what can I say? I thought we were rolling up on the entrance. Yeah, just a little bit to the left here. There we go, there's the entrance. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands. Got a little train crossing here for the little kiddie train. I still wonder if this is where I dropped my sunshades. I think I dropped them somewhere, unless it's in my trunk buried under something. Usually when we come to Arkansas as a family, we have a cabin in the woods we like to rent outside of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Most years we stay in that same cabin. Yep, there's another beautiful overlook. Along in here's where I parked yesterday. Always got a back end. You don't want to push it up a hill to get out of the parking spot. Oh, give him some room there. Lover's Leap Trail. I don't know if I want to know where it got its name. Yep, there's a beautiful scenic overlook. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, good thing you were leading. I'm afraid I would have been riding way faster than that. I had this sense you could have ran off and left us if you wanted to.
I'm not usually a very fast rider. Well, I'm slower than you are, so.
Yeah, I think you could have ran off and left us if you'd have wanted to.
A couple of those, I was like, okay, I gotta slow this one.
Well, I made it back from the CMA Pastors Retreat in Mena, Arkansas. Had a fantastic time, spent 4 days in Arkansas. Got to hear some great preaching, great music, and I got to ride my motorcycle. And let me put in a little plug for my motorcycle. Once again, my Indian Roadmaster performed flawlessly. Now, it is filthy. Rode in rain more than one day. Let's see how many miles I rode in the last 4 days. I did 915 miles, spent 18 hours.
Navage isn't medicine, it's more like plumbing. Navage uses...
Spent 18 hours in the saddle. And one thing I discovered about county roads in Arkansas, they're like county roads in Texas. Sometimes they go from nice black asphalt to gravel to dirt to mud with ruts from, look like log trucks. I didn't ride through the mud. I thought I can handle the gravel, I can handle the dirt. When I went down the hill and saw the water and the mud, I turned around. But we had a great time, great experience. Looking forward to going back next year. If you ever get a chance to ride in Arkansas in the Ozark Mountains, it's a gorgeous place to ride. If you ever think you would consider an Indy, and they make a fantastic touring bike. This is my favorite motorcycle of all time. So had a great time, but it's always good to be back home.
Would you like that?
All right, Samantha, what's the message you have?
Be sure to like this video and subscribe and comment.